expecting to hear from Christian. He sent us something, just an hour or two ago. He had an emergency with work and something came up and he had to go. So he's not able to be on with us tonight. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to kind of do a little bit of a role reversal. And this is one that Nick and I have talked about in the past. And we don't really have it fully locked down yet. This is going to be our first stab at this. So you guys get to kind of help us out a little bit. So what we're going to do is we are going to, I vote yes. I'm with you, Brent. Beard's out. We just recalled you, Beard. So we're going to kind of open it up to the audience and let you guys be the host tonight. And then we will be kind of the audience. So you guys get to ask us questions and we will be kind of the ones in the hot seat a little bit tonight. So we'll see how this goes. We can kind of tackle the question that we were going to be talking about, or we can pick another topic and discuss that. I think we've got a lot of stuff that's been going on in the chat groups lately that we might want to talk about and just pull some of that up, especially when it comes to people getting butt hurt in the LDS Facebook dating groups. So tonight's going to be a little different. Tonight is kind of you guys wanting to ask us stuff. Maybe everybody wants to ask Celeste stuff. You know, she seems to get a lot of questions. She's always talking about the private questions she gets on the side. So anything you guys would like to talk about with us tonight, please raise your hand and we will go from there. It looks like we've already got one person voting for Christian's recall efforts. I think that might be Austin. I would second that vote. Here's to that.
Oh, Austin, are you just raising your hand though?
He might have a question. I don't know.
Austin, can you do you have your audio connected there?
Looks like he should.
I see a video option for Austin. Oh, there's Austin. Austin, can you hear us? Austin?
I think he's muted.
Oh, now he's muted. Hold on. Try that. Unmute. Bottom left-hand corner is going to show your microphone. You click on that and it should unmute you.
There we go. You got me?
Yeah.
There we go.
Awesome. Did you have a question, Austin?
Well, no, I just wondering why I got blocked off there for a second. I wasn't able to do nothing. That's why it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, we usually have everybody turn off their microphone and their video just during the show portion. This one, obviously, we'll probably do a little bit differently as people want to, if you want to come out and have a chat, you want to just turn on your microphone and ask us a question, you want to type it in the chat, or you want to turn on your video and come straight out and ask us whatever. We are open tonight. So this is kind of your night to ask questions. But if you're just going to be in the audience, we do ask that you kind of turn off your video and your audio and just kind of keep to the audience that way.
Yeah, I wasn't able to hear you there for a bit, so that's why I was.
Oh, gotcha.
Sounds good.
You can hear us now though, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
We'll go ahead and we'll hide your video. But if you do have anything else, any questions as we are going along, by all means, go ahead and feel free to raise your hand again and we'll call on you again. Sound good?
All right. Sounds good.
Awesome.
And by the way, Skip, you don't need to feel sad about not ready to come out of the closet yet. Neither is Nick. So you're not alone in that.
What is that you're eating, Nick? Someone wants to know what your snack is tonight.
Dude, I am like so hungry. I got done working. Then I went over to my friend Jen's place. She recently bought a house. We're remodeling her kitchen. And so I got done. I drove like straight home and I had like 10 minutes before this started. So I made a tuna sandwich, chicken sandwich, jumped in the shower.
A tuna chicken sandwich?
It's a chicken sandwich.
Oh, chicken sandwich. Hmm.
So For those who don't know, I'll kind of bring up a topic. Celeste lives in Texas. We had an interesting conversation here just the last couple days. Someone did not know that there were tarantulas in Texas.
Nope. Did not
But
know.
now that she has found out, now she's petrified, and she's trying to rationalize in her head that these tarantulas don't come into her house. They're just everybody else.
That's right. They know that they're not welcome here, so they will steer clear of my house and my yard and my neighborhood, actually. So I'm I'm okay. I'm safe.
So when I was born in Texas. All my family is from Texas. Literally, I never went to Disneyland until I was like 40 years old. All of my vacations, every time growing up, were to Texas. Save one time because we live in Washington. We went up to Canada once to, what was it, World's Fair or whatever that is, when they had it in Vancouver, BC. But other than that, all my childhood growing up, everything was in Texas. So I have like grandpas and uncles. Everybody had ranches down there, and I would always take a gun and go hunting anything that moved. And so I was well aware of the tarantulas and the armadillos and the snakes and anything else we could get, but I don't live there anymore. And if there's one thing I hate, it's a spider. My favorite spider is a great North American flat spider. I seem to find those in my house from time to time. They don't start out flat, they just end up that way.
Right. You make sure
But
they're flat.
I can't imagine running into a tarantula and then having to squish it.
Oh, they're the type that, like, the second your foot starts coming down on them, they actually push up against you. And
Yeah. There are spiders that jump and you can feel them hit the bottom of your foot before you smash them. Horrible. There was some like that in Memphis. Hated them.
Skip, you're right, by the way, and I don't have any horns. That sort of narrows it down, don't it? So here's a question from Amber. Why do singles in general take things personally when someone mentions a trait that they don't prefer? Facetious, hold on, the whole chat's moving, so it keeps moving.
I know, it's hard to see the
Facetious example, if someone says they don't like people with 11 toes, and those with 11 toes all get in a huff. I don't know that I've ever met anyone with 11 toes, but I'm all right with that, I suppose.
in general, take things personally when someone mentions a trait that they don't prefer. I don't like fat people. And then all of a sudden people are like, yo!
Oh, I'm like, what are you saying?
Or I can't stand people that are less than the height of 6'1". I'm not interested. And I'm just like, but I got a great personality. Give me a chance.
Yeah, that's kind of a big topic, but I think everybody has that. I know the moment people post something like that on one of the Facebook groups, there's always going to be fireworks. And it's kind of like sit back and watch because here we go. And the thing that gets me is the girls who get on there and say, if a guy has a problem with a girl with more weight, then they're not worthy of their priesthood. If there's one thing that I think is more ridiculous than that, I don't know what it would be. That is just, and I get it, you know, people who have weight issues, they don't like to have that thrown in their face. But let's be real. Everybody has their kind of type that they're looking for. Nick doesn't just go out and be like, well, she's of the opposite sex. Good enough. I think I've literally seen one person say that in all my time on the Facebook groups, and they were crazy, and they ended up getting banned because they were actually asking other girls privately, sending them messages if they like to watch porn together, and were totally creeping people out. So even though they said that, I don't think they really meant it. So a little bit weird.
You're not supposed to ask people if they like to watch porn with you? I mean, I thought that was like a bonding experience that people have. Be like,
I think it's all in the delivery, you know?
It makes sense.
Yeah. Hey, you know, if you just come out and you say, hey, by the way, do you like to do this together?
Yeah.
And that might be a little forward if you just kind of like get to know the person and say like, hey, guess what? Tonight I'm watching, you know, Titty Titty Gangbang or something. Would you like to watch it together? That might go over a little smoother than just, do you like to watch porn together? So
That's true. You want to make sure that you dip your toe in the water first, and then you kind of
right,
ease your way in.
right.
Test the waters.
That's this whole
before you go.
jumping in the deep end, you drown every time.
Yeah,
Every time.
I agree.
It
So-
might go this way all the time, Rod. So it might not be really the show for you if this is something that is going to offend you. Just letting you know, because yeah, we kind of talk openly here.
So this one was I saw it up before Amber's, and it says, "What has been the biggest positive reaction to the podcast to all of the hosts, and what about the opposite? What are the most negative reactions?"
Concerning the hosts, or like given like information given to the hosts.
Maybe about the show.
Yeah.
in general.
It looks like it's the whole
Podcast.
all together, all encompassing. My biggest positive reaction to the podcast for me has been I love having a platform where I can reach out and connect to a lot of people and influence people.
Yeah.
That's kind of been my biggest positive thing that I've come out of this. My most negative thing, trying to organize it all. That was my biggest thing that I hate. One of the things that I really hate about is having to get the videos and then doing the back end stuff, getting all the videos, downloading them, uploading them, editing them. That is literally the bane of my existence. That's the reason why you only see so many right now, because I have so much more to do. So that's one of my more negative things that I have.
Yeah. Well, I like how you speak as if you're if it's past tense, as if it's all organized.
No, it's still going.
Yeah, it's still an issue. You know, one of the things that I've always appreciated from the feedback that we've got is there are people out there who are struggling with certain issues, whether it may be suicide. We've talked about that here, or you know, any of the other topics that we've discussed. But we have had some great feedback of other people who say, hey, I feel like there are other people I can connect with who have gone through these same things. And that's huge. That's a big thing, because it makes you feel like I'm not alone in this battle. And when you're struggling with something, the worst thing you can feel like is that you're alone. So,
I agree.
yep.
Yep.
That's the thing for everybody that you know, if this is your first time, because I see on the list here there's some names that I don't recognize, and I know that Rod, he mentioned that it was his first time before he so graciously just excused himself, and that's fine. This podcast is not for everyone. We do laugh and joke about everything. It's not going to be completely serious. It's not going to be something that we are going to hold on a second. There we go. It's not a we will make jokes about everything, and we will also find the seriousness parts that we need to address. So if you've got a problem with something like that, just know that if you haven't been offended yet, just wait 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty true. So I was going to say about I don't know whose question that was about the positives and the negatives, but
That was Tom's.
okay, Tom. So one of the things that I've heard a lot of, and I think it was kind of touched on, but is that people are kind of lonely right now, especially with COVID. There's just not a lot of interaction, not a lot of singles activities and things like that. And a lot of people are finding a connection by coming on this podcast. It's not, in-person connection, but it's still a face-to-face connection where they can come and interact and with people who have like beliefs and situations in their lives. And I think that's been a positive for them. They enjoy the after party. They enjoy mingling with people that are just in the same situation as them. So that's been one feedback that I continually receive from people who have been coming and participating in the podcasts.
I'd say a negative thing that I've heard is exactly what Rod was talking about. A lot of people don't like hearing about pornography or sex or anything in those verticals. So the second they start hearing that, then there's like, well, I thought we were going to be more hoity-toity than that, so I need to excuse myself.
Yeah, I think people get kind of thrown off because they think fireside as in like a church fireside versus like an actual fireside around the fire having a chat. So I think they kind of get confused on that. Not that you should be able to talk about sex and those things, in general, but I think they kind of get thrown off on that. So
Yeah. Well, I think here we just want to be real. We run into that a lot in the Facebook groups. If somebody throws out a post that's real, then a lot of times they get attacked pretty viciously. Because you've got a lot of people who really, and I think some of it just happens to be posturing. There's a lot of people who really want to portray this image of themselves as like, I am spiritual and I am like righteous and worthy. And if you're a girl looking for a guy or vice versa, that's going to take you to the celestial kingdom, I'm that person. And you're like, you know what? You can do that and still be a real person too. You don't have to come across as like some saint that's like one step away from being beatified. So
Lion.
I think here, oh, Nick's got the lion.
that lion again. Oh my gosh, Nick.
Siska is our LDS version of Dr. Ruth. Well, I don't know. I think Jennifer might have you beat on that one. I think Jennifer gave like a whole lesson or something to a bunch of like the youth of her stake on sex and didn't hold back on anything. So
Love that idea. We should have one podcast where she just kind of comes out and gives us that same thing that she gave.
Yeah.
And I know that people keep saying that we shouldn't be talking about pornography. I don't know. I think that that's probably something that needs to be talked about in adultery. I think that when you do talk about it, sometimes you have to take the lighthearted approach as well, but it is a serious subject. Both of those are. And I don't know. I don't think we should skip over that, in my opinion.
Just to let everybody know, the chat is moving rather quickly, and we are trying to look at everything. If you are okay with coming up on the video or coming up on the audio, feel free to raise your hand. Raise your hand. We'll call on you. We'll unmute you. We'll ask you to share your video, and feel free to ask your question that way. That way you don't feel like we're ignoring you.
Or you can repost it. If we don't catch it, you think, they didn't see that, you can repost the same question and see if we get it the next time around.
Skip did ask, why did you have to change the name?
Oh, yeah.
To Flameless Fireside?
That's what it sounds like. Because in the beginning we were doing like the Singles Ward podcast or the.
No, I think what Skip means is with Celeste.
Oh, the spelling.
The flameless, but it's like with a PH.
That would be Nick. Nick and he's pretty clever.
Oh, that's Nick. I thought that was Celeste.
Well, Facebook made us change it because it needs to be a person name. It can't be just words like that. So I was over here. I'm like, I don't know. What do we do? And Nick's like coming up with a phonetical change. Like, I thought it was pretty clever. I was like, good job. Way to go, Nick. So yeah, that's why we had to change that. Facebook.
Kevin Berry is saying, why is it so hard for people to be honest when it comes to interest and others when it comes to dating? I have something on this. All right. So I'm not dating anybody currently. I am talking to a few people and I'm getting to know people. I'm trying to make some friends, and I do have a friend that's here that we started dating probably about back in March. We started going on some dates. It was just me and her. And after a little bit, I was like, you know what? I think that this needs to not go any further than what it is. But we still hang out. We're still really good friends with each other. And because of that, when other people come along, I don't tell her about it because I feel like I'm being disrespectful to her, and I don't want to hurt her feelings. But on the flip side, I take the time that I have with these other people and I post them on Facebook, and so she finds out about them anyways. So it's hard to be honest with somebody that you don't want to hurt their feelings. Sometimes you just don't want to talk about it. Sometimes you'll just be like, listen, this is my boundary. This is what I don't want to talk about. And in the end, that was a mistake on my part. I really should have just been, listen, I've got friends coming in from out of town, and so I'm going to be hanging out with them. And I don't know why. Other than I didn't want to hurt her feelings in the sense that I didn't want to hang out with them. What do you guys think about that? Why is it so hard for people to be honest when it comes to interest in others when in relation to dating?
Well, I would
Go ahead.
go ahead,
I
Celeste.
got two people that are dating each other right there, and neither of them can say anything.
Okay, so this is the thing. Like, I personally do not like to make people feel bad. It's like I just don't like it. And I would rather kind of like kindly exit a situation than like be upfront and just be like, dude, you're not my type. Like, I just struggle in that area. But I've noticed over the months of being here on Facebook that you can't really be kind because then it's kind of unkind, right? You're trying to be kind, but in the long run, it ends up being unkind because they just aren't getting the hints. And I know that we talked about that in the last podcast. Like, guys just, I guess, don't get hints. So that's my core. I just don't want to hurt people's feelings because I'm sure they're great people. They're just not for me. And so I do kind of like try to phrase it nicely. But that's why I do it. I just don't want to hurt people's feelings. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think people want to usually be kind of nice to somebody, but I would say also there are those who just want to play the field and they don't want to say anything because they want to sort of keep them on the hook. So you have to be careful of that. Right, Nick?
Right.
I've
Nick?
got friends coming from out of town and, just friends with benefits. But after they're gone, we can like talk again.
They're not benefit.
Nick, what?
You know what? You can say what you want. That does not happen. Thank you. Skip, I saw that you raised your hand, but it looks like you lowered your hand as well. Did you want to ask a question?
Nobody's going to be brave and come out on video.
No.
Oh, there he is.
So, okay, like I always equate it to that movie Dumb and Dumber when he's with the girl and he's like, so do I have like a 1 in 100 chance? And she's like, more like 1 in a million. And he's like, yes, when you're saying there's a chance. And that's what guys do. They're stupid. So like when you're trying to be nice, and I'm putting myself in that category, but at least I realize I'm stupid. So that's half the battle. But no, I mean, like, that's what guys do. If he likes the girl and she gives him any, like, just being nice like you do, Celeste, then he takes it like, oh, she's gonna marry me.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you do need to be honest and upfront and not nice.
Well,
If you feel that that's not being nice.
the thing is I'm still nice. Like, I'm still being upfront and honest, but it's just kind of delivered with some sugar on it or something. Like, I just have a hard time being upfront and being like, no, I'm just not at all interested. So I kind of try to do like only answer the text like every other day or like
Yeah,
with just
see,
emoji
that's the
or
problem.
something.
When you do that, you give him false hope. I'm just saying.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
going to disagree with you on that one.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Here's the reason why. Because that is coming from a position of any guy that talks to her is then only talking to her because they want to be in a relationship with her. So then she can't be nice to anybody because she can't have friends.
No, I get that. I understand what you're saying, but like I know when I'm talking to girls, I know whether they're interested in me if they're just answering questions, and usually I'll stop talking to them because I get it. But I'm saying a lot of guys out there don't get it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, then
They
that's
have a false hope.
but you can't peg that on the person that they are talking to. It is not on the job of the person that they are talking to fulfill their expectations.
Right. And the
Our
thing
own
is
expectations are our own.
sometimes you can even tell them. And then they're like, you even like use the term friend zone, like we'll just be friends, like this doesn't work for me or whatever. And then they still just keep coming back. Like sometimes the other end has to kind of get a clue as well. Like I feel bad sometimes because I have to keep rejecting the same person. And it's like, I've already, how many times do I have to say, I just want to be friends? I don't know why you keep coming back and like, hey, how's it going now? What's up?
Well,
I had another
maybe he has
revelation. You're
confirmation
Yeah.
from the Lord.
Revelation.
Okay, well, that was my 2 cents, though. Anyway,
Yeah. Thank you, Skip.
Thanks, Skip. It's funny. Celeste and I have had this conversation maybe a million times, if not once. But she always says, like, I've told them so clearly that I'm not interested. I'm like,
I
really?
know.
Did you tell them you're not interested? Well, not. I kind of told them, like, in this
Okay.
way. This goes back to the signals.
Oh,
You
God.
can't set out a smoke signal and say, like, look, I created this diagram in the sky and they are going to understand it clearly now. We're guys. We're idiots. Even when you tell us, we still don't get it. That's
So
why I'm still sticking around, because I don't get it.
Whatever. Okay, so me telling a guy that I'm interested in another guy is not enough to say I'm not interested in you. Like, I think that that's pretty like to the point. I don't know. No?
Well, you're leaving the door open to them. That would be like, that's like them saying, like, all right, well, so what you're saying is you're interested in somebody else, but you're still interested in me. And so if things don't work out with this other guy, then you're like, I'm a possibility. That's what a guy thinks. That's definitely not what you're saying. But look, this goes back to exactly like what we were talking about before. When you get on a Facebook group and you post something and somebody likes it, right? Or you get on there and you say, like, oh, that's funny, ha ha, and you hit that like button or something, or a smiley face. Some guys are like, oh, she wants me. She's totally into me now.
They do.
He thinks I'm like totally hot. So
Let's see what Corey has to say about this. He wants to jump in on that.
oh, okay. We can't hear you.
Yeah, you gotta turn on your.
You're unmuted.
Yeah.
You plugged
Should be able
in.
to hear you.
Hold on.
Are you there?
Do an interpretive dance.
Hey, you know what? Nick can read lips.
I can read lips. He said, all right, give me 1 minute. I'll come back. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
And then he said, I like little boy. Dude, this is not that type of podcast.
What kind of things do they have you doing over there in the FBI?
Right? Okay.
Did anybody figure out how to raise hands yet? I think I sent a link
There's
out.
a hand raised.
Kevin's got his hand raised.
He does.
Okay.
All right. Kevin, I just asked you to share your video. Asked to unmute.
All right, this is kind of where I've come from when the question is. I've had girls that are ambiguous. When I've said, like, look, I'm interested, not necessarily as in a relationship, but more of interested in let's get together and do some stuff to get to know and see if that's where it goes.
Right. Step one.
I've had girls be like, well, I'm not interested in dating right now, or I don't, just very, very vague and ambiguous. I've had this one girl I had a crush on, and she just came out and said, look, let's just be friends and this, that, and the other. I'm like, cool, that's fine. We still hung out, kicked it, and did stuff. But it's the ambiguous, like Everett just said, throwing out the little bit of smoke signals and not being very clear of, here is the roadmap. This is where we're at. This is where we're going. This is where you want to go. It is not going there. Sometimes you, as girls, y'all need to be very descriptive, point by point, A, B, C, point A1, A2, A3, blah, blah, blah. Here's a list. Guys are very list-oriented. Am I right?
I would agree with you 100%. I see Catherine in the audience that says, I'm not interested in dating. Isn't that direct?
Yeah.
Maybe you would say, I'm not interested in dating you.
Maybe
if that's direct to the point. Because maybe you say, here's a guy, here's how we think. If you say, I'm not interested in dating, that means like, okay, you're on a dating site. So clearly you're interested in dating. Like maybe right now You've just gone through a breakup, so you need a moment. So you're still giving somebody who doesn't quite get it, which is most guys, you're still giving them a little inkling of a like possibility. You just got to tell us straight out, like, I'm not interested in you. Okay, cool. Then I get it. Like that makes sense to me. But when you say like, I'm not interested in dating, you're leaving this vague pool of like just generalities where us guys are supposed to interpret that somehow I'm the only one in that pool.
Maybe even like if you're not interested in dating, be like, look, I'm in a situation where I'm not wanting to date, but we can still get together and do stuff together as friends.
There are
That-
some
That leaves the door open.
girls that don't want to get together, period, with
Maybe
with
that's
any individual guy. So
maybe
what
that's just me and how I am. I'm more of, if you're direct with me and say, look, let's go do stuff, hang out, whatever, but we're friends. I'm not wanting to date right now, but that still leaves that, but we still know that we can do stuff as friends. That's cool. That still lets me know that you're figuring something out. But to say, look, I'm not interested in dating, that's more of, you're very, very vague, very like, almost have that picture or whatever of, I'm not interested in dating in you. You're not being direct. So
that is essentially what it is. I'm not
Okay.
interested in dating you.
So this is
That's-
the thing. Like women are always like getting accused of being too analytical, reading too much into things, blah 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 blah. But like I feel like that's the same thing. Like y'all need to like realize, like when we're saying we're not interested in dating, like that's what it is. Like it's like you don't need to like sit and try to reanalyze that phrase. It just, okay, we're not interested in dating. Obviously, we're on a dating site. So assuming, it'd be like, it makes sense. We're not interested in dating that person.
I guess what's hard is the fact that for me as a guy, you're always taught of, you need to make the first step.
Yeah.
Here we are, we're making the step of, hey, I'm interested in you. I want to get to know you. And yet you're not getting that response back of yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. It's more of, well, like that, the famous thing of, where do you want to go eat? Well, I don't want to eat here. I don't want to eat it. 30 minutes later, you're right around back after being waterboarded for 30 minutes of where you want to go to eat.
So my thought on that is, if you're gonna ask somebody out, plan the date. You can give them two options, but don't give them an open-ended question like that. Give them two options of places that you're okay with, and if they are okay with going to any one of those, then go that direction.
That's my little 2 cents for this. So
All right, yeah, no, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. And I also think Catherine's got a good thing. She was saying that just as a guy, you can reach out if you're confused on if the girl wants to really do something or not. It says, tell me if you want to hang out. Like that's a good phrase for us women to be like, okay, it's in my ballpark. I can do what I want with it. So then it leaves you to like walk away. If like obviously she never reaches out, then that's not something that's going to work out. So I thought that was a good idea.
All right, can you hear me now?
You can.
Yes.
Now we can hear you.
I have a brand new computer, and unfortunately, I have a mic in my camera, and so it was on a different mic in the computer. So technical difficulties, but I got it working.
First world problems.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I think guys have to be careful too, because I think I've talked about this with some other people about the undercover dating. So you got to be very careful about undercover dating, because some women are not looking for friends.
What do you mean when you say undercover dating? How would you define that?
So a guy gets that. So a guy says, "Hey, I'm interested in dating you," and the girl says, "No, I'm not interested. She just wants to be friends." So the guy says, "Sure, I'll be a friend," but secretly he's hoping that he'll wear her down. He'll prove his worth to her. Like after she gets to know him enough time, like she'll change her mind. And so he'll do things like, I'll babysit your kids while you go on dates, or I'll cut your lawn, or I'll do whatever. And, in hopes that, she'll change her mind.
See, that's the thing. That's guys like, this is what I'm talking about. Corey's spot on. if you give them an inch, they'll take 100 miles. Not just one, but 100 miles. Like, you have to be direct and say, me, you, no interest whatsoever. Like, we're Neanderthals. You have to be succinct. Otherwise, we're going to look for these little inroads and kind of like, well, like Corey's saying, if I mow your yard 100 times, maybe can we go out? You know?
Yeah. Well, also, I think you need to be like, I think women need to be careful with the whole friends thing. Because look, we're all interested in dating. We're all interested in meeting somebody. And that's the whole purpose of what we're doing, right? So if your only purpose is to make a whole bunch of guy friends, then you're going to be sending the wrong message. I mean, if a guy comes on and he's interested in a girl and she says, I'm not interested in you that way, but we can be friends, you're setting yourself up to be undercover dated. That's my term. And then you're going to be like, why is this guy never leave me alone? And you're like, that's because you told him, let's be friends. And he doesn't want to be friends.
Okay, Corey. So here's the thing with that, though. Here's the thing. So if a guy's like, hey, I just want to be friends, like, what am I supposed to be? Like, no, I don't want to be your friend. Like,
yeah, say, look, I'm looking to date somebody.
It kind of puts you in a weird spot as a girl, right?
It does.
Okay. And so, like you mentioned, okay, well, then I'll watch your kids and all this crazy crap that comes out. Like, it's weird. And but it's kind of like, not that I'd let him watch my kids. But the thing is that it's like, I'm coming to realize that that is a hard balance to be friends with somebody of the opposite sex. And I get that. But at the same time, if the guy's saying, well, hey, no, it's cool, I just want to be friends, why can we not take them at their word? Why do we have to assume that they might be lying and going undercover?
Well, I don't think they're lying. I think that their first intention was they wanted to date you. And you said, I'm not interested in dating you. Their interest in dating you did not change. They still are interested in dating you.
Yep.
Right.
And so you said, let's be friends. And they're like, well, how do I change this situation? How do I change your mind? It's a challenge to a guy.
Well, I mean, but again, I kind of feel like that's deceitful, right? Like,
well, I guess it is, but you know, like, he likes you. You know, he likes you.
Friends. I can't.
Let's face the fact. I mean, if you didn't think that he was somewhat cute, then you wouldn't want to be hanging around him. If he wasn't a nice guy.
There's a lot of nice people that I speak with that I have zero attraction to.
Well, that's fine. But I mean, there comes that 2:00 in the morning. You need somebody to talk to. He comes right on over. Next thing you know, you guys are sitting on the couch next to each other. He's going to make a move.
No, I thought we were talking online here. No, we have no friends that are guys coming over at 2 a.m. That doesn't work. I know that that's not a good scenario. So, but I still think that guys need to realize if they're going to take the friend option, then they need to be a friend. And they shouldn't expect the female to sniff out their undercover dating. Now, I also believe that as females, sometimes you can look at these people and you realize, oh, they're trying to be an undercover dater. And then some women kind of like take advantage of that situation. So I would hope women wouldn't do that.
Well, especially if you need your lawn cut or you need a babysitter for that hot date you're trying to go on.
Right.
Well, yeah. Hey, if I got a
good friend
faucet, one of my undercover dater can come and fix it for me. No, let's not say that.
You know, in all fairness, this goes both ways. Probably not nearly as often, but I have had girls too that have expressed interest, and I've even had them come in and be like, right off the bat, like, hey, I want to be your friend. Like, wait, so you're jumping straight into the friend zone? And then it's like they think it's climbing the ladder. Like, friend zone's here, and if they just kind of work that way up, eventually we're going to get into the dating and then more serious dating. And
they just don't know how long and tall your ladder is. They're in for the long haul.
Oh, yeah, they have no clue.
they're no longer than
They
others.
have no clue how long tall that ladder is.
Well, sometimes there are ladders that just go in circles.
Yeah.
Circular
Jacob
ladder.
has nothing on my ladder.
Okay, let's see. We have a question from Heidi. Heidi, do you want to just ask it, or you want to be unmuted and go on video?
I did see Heidi's.
Okay, I'm getting there.
Okay, she's coming.
Okay. Sorry. It took me forever to find the whole raise hand thing. Like I kept clicking on the drop down arrow. And anyway.
This is good feedback for the Zoom creators. Like, hey, your raised hand function is pretty much worthless. So,
Well, I may not be the best market research target unless they're going for someone that just really doesn't do computers. I'm a people person. I'm not a computer person. Well, I think I clicked that a long time ago. I think we're like way off the topic now, and I don't want to like mix things up. But
I actually saw your chat here. Do you want me to read it? And that'll.
sure.
So it says, I want to
Alright.
respond to this
Lost it
topic.
already.
I like the freedom to know that I can respond to someone without necessarily expressing romantic interest. I don't like to assume that it's more than a friendship contact unless they explicitly ask for a date or something.
Right. Did that make sense? I was typing it really fast.
Go ahead and explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
elaborate.
if I'm like reading someone's post or they put a meme up or just, everyday stuff, I think that's funny and I like it. I want to be able to click like without thinking,
Amen.
oh, that person is going to think that I want to have a date with them.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
It might be someone that I could be interested in, but that's not really enough to let me know that anyway. And I try and treat it the same way, the other way around. If someone likes my comment or even comments on something that I say, I don't immediately seem, oh, he still wants to ask me out. That's not really a safe assumption.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I feel like online on those posts and stuff, like, I just want to be me. I just want to have fun, interact, just be me, and not have to worry about someone trying to think I'm hitting on them or they're trying to hit on me or whatever. Like, I just think it's fun. Now, once it gets into my DMs, and that's where it gets more like, I've got to take this more of a serious thing. So yeah, I don't like
Right.
that people would, if I like it, that they're going to assume that I'm liking them, not their posts. So it's interesting.
That is one of the things that I was actually other host Whitney. I was talking to her about this the other day, and she said that that's one of her biggest pet peeves. And I'm noticing from Celeste when Celeste sees a female who is attractive, and Celeste can appreciate that. See the female that's attractive that makes a post on one of these groups, she will make the post of, "Oh, girl, you're gonna get so many messages in your DM. You're gonna get so many friends requests."
I have seen you say that. That's funny.
I just give them a fair warning. Just beware. It's coming your way.
It's really, it says more about the people than it does about the girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I agree.
Not that I've ever had that happen to me, but
Whatever.
so how do you guys want to work this? Do you want me to remute until I like have something else I want to say? I'll try and keep it to a dull roar.
Yeah, just kind of pop out and pop back into the audience, I guess.
Okay.
Put up
All
your
right.
hand if you want to say something else. So we'll move on to
Yeah,
Siska.
I know where it is now.
Awesome. Okay, Siska, do you want to chat it or do you want to come out and share your question?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, Siska. Yes.
Oh, okay. Is there if I just
Sure. However you want to do it, wherever you're comfortable.
I'm in the Central Standard Time Zone, and so I'm already in my pajamas. So I hope you don't mind if I just keep my video off.
Not a problem whatsoever.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So I am in Kansas, the flyover state, flat.
Hi.
And there's not very many options out here for members to date.
I think Catherine's in Kansas as well. I don't know if she's still with us or not, but
Isn't she in Oklahoma City? Oklahoma?
Sorry?
Catherine's in Kansas.
Which part?
The flat part.
The big part?
I don't know.
See, I'm just south of Wichita.
Okay. Well, so what's your question?
Sorry?
So what's your question?
Oh, I just wanted to share with you something that happened, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I been around with people that are not members of the church. It's okay. It's cool. And there was this one guy that this last summer, we'd known each other for a while. And then I was just saying, hey, I noticed that you like to cook, because he has these cooking videos, Flamingo Chef, right?
Okay.
And so I'm a pretty good cook myself, and I thought, hey, let's get together and do some cooking.
I'll bet you want to do some cooking.
Yeah, cooking. I like cook up a meal or something that you could show me that would be different.
Let me guess. You wanted to cook up something pretty hot in the kitchen.
Well, it sounds like you wanted to whet his appetite.
That's right. I know where this is going.
Well, okay, so he said to me, he picked up on that, I guess. He said to me that he was seeing someone else and that he just wanted to be friends with me. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. That's fine, because it happens. And it's not a big deal. So then all of a sudden for months, this happened like this last summer. And so for months, he didn't talk to me for some reason or another. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that might have made him uncomfortable, I guess. I don't know.
Cooking with him made him uncomfortable?
Huh?
You're saying that cooking with him made him feel uncomfortable?
The fact that he just wanted to be my friend and he didn't want to go out on dates with me or anything like that.
Okay.
It happens, you know, because everybody has their preferences. And so I'm just fine with that. But okay, so a few weeks ago, he all of a sudden messages me again. And he's like, hey, what you doing? You want to go for a play date? And I'm like, okay, so I guess I was a bit naive of what exactly that he was talking about. I thought, oh, you want to cook up a meal or share a recipe or something? And well, apparently what he, huh?
Swap some taste buds, whatever.
Yeah, he wanted to have sex. He wanted to hook up. And I'm like,
I don't have my beep button.
no, I don't think I can do that. I thought that's just so weird. And he was asking me why. And I'm like, well, for one thing, I'm not your plan B. And another thing is I'm not somebody to just hook up with.
Sure. At
Yeah.
least
Not a one night stand.
Right.
friends with benefits. All done. I get it.
Yeah. So now he's not talking to me again because I turned him down. This
Sure. Yeah. Well, a lot of guys, when they get embarrassed, they will retreat.
Yep, they will act like you're evil. So that's how it goes.
I'll let you.
Yeah, they do for several hours sometimes. So
oh, it gets better. It gets better. So he went out with another friend of mine, and my friend didn't know about what happened. So she was noticing that he gained quite a lot of weight, and he was getting way too big. And she was smaller than me. She was very small compared to him, and it was just really weird. And she, oh my gosh, I have some really great friends, and they have great sense of humors. And she turned him down and said, no, because you practically have to tape yourself up in order to have sex with you.
Oh, lift up the fold.
Like, are you into bondage?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's too funny.
So anyway, yeah. I don't know. I just kind of find it weird, his actions. And he was telling me that the reason that he wanted to have somebody to hook up with is because he hadn't had sex in years. And I'm like, that's not my problem.
Yeah, but doesn't that just make you feel bad for the guy?
I mean, no, it doesn't.
You would think that would just make you open your legs and be like, come on in.
No, I don't feel bad.
Come on, the water's warm.
I haven't had sex in 10 years. When am I going to get some action?
I'm just saying. You get a little oil, you get a little dustpan, you brush off the dust, and see what happens. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying that this guy, there's a lot of guys that here's the deal. A lot of guys, whether regardless if they are LDS or they're not LDS, they will go out and they will petition a variety of people. Hey, do you want to hook up? Do you want to have sex? Do you want to fuck? Whatever they say, they are asking the exact same questions. Okay. And they will ask members, non-members, whoever it is that have the hole that they can plug. And the reason why they continue to do so is because there have been women, members, non-members, that have said yes. And so when you're like
Unfortunately,
sitting there flabbergasted, why is this guy being so brazen? Why is he actually coming out and actually thinking that I'd say yes to this? Because somebody already has.
Yep, I agree.
And if it's worked
Oh
once,
yeah,
it's gonna work again. So
there was one dating profile. He had one sentence on his profile, and it was just straightforward. I just want to fuck.
yep. Yeah.
That was it.
And women have it too. Women have it too. So it's not just
Yeah.
the guys.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you're right. But the thing of it is that I don't see the women's profile, so I don't know what's on there. You're gonna have to tell me what's on there. But I
Oh,
can tell you what's on some of the guys.
all you do is you go into your settings and you say that you're bi-curious, and it'll show you both. Don't ask me how I know that.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, Nick, you are so
From
odd.
experience.
Only you would know that.
All right. Thank you,
All right,
Sitka.
well, thanks, Siska. You can unraise your hand now. Oh, very good. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I took that.
So I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
let me share this real quick that somebody posted. Brent commented on this earlier.
Oh, I think I need. Are you good to share?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay.
All right.
What do you
So are you guys able to see this picture?
Yep, we see it.
Okay.
It's a picture of
So-
two guys kissing each other.
This is when we were talking about types earlier, two guys kissing each other. No. When we were talking about this earlier, this is the kind of thing. Now, I don't want to show who posted this because you guys can go figure it out yourselves, but this is the kind of thing that that people will share in those groups because, and it is definitely for posted by a short guy. And it's kind of like this, hey, short guys are awesome too. But I don't think most girls really like short guys. And I don't think that having those preferences is necessarily a bad thing. Now, everybody's got their own view on what's short, right? I mean, we've interviewed guys as short as 5'3". Am I 5'3", right? And then some taller guys. Oh, Brent's taking lots of notes tonight. Yeah, take those notes, Brent. Well, in my opinion, I think that you're gonna, if you post something like that, essentially what you're saying is, hey, look, this is me, take it or leave it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that because everyone's gonna have their type, right? If you're like, look, I'm a bigger person and I just want to be bigger, okay, cool. But at the same time, you can't expect everyone to go for that. Yeah. Nick's in his third trimester as well.
Oh my gosh.
So, but you can't expect everybody to go for that, right? You can't just say like, well, I'm short, so because I'm coming out and telling everybody like I'm okay with being short, then girls are just going to be like, oh, okay, well, he's got confidence. Now, I will say this, that, and maybe Celeste can verify this or debunk it, I don't know. Guys who are more confident are more attractive.
Absolutely. Anyone who's going to post something like that, it shows they have a lack of confidence. I think that they're sensitive and they're trying to convince you of their worth because they probably don't even feel like they have that worth. And so they're going out of their way to say, hey, short guys are just as important and special and lovable and whatever as taller guys. And I'm going to put this out there and throw this out there so that you'll believe it so that then I can believe it. And so, yeah, it shows a lack of confidence, which is not attractive. So,
yeah,
no. But I do not like it when people think that someone who has preferences are shallow. I think that's so wrong. Because the funny thing is, even the other night not the other night, but there's been a recent podcast where we're interviewing somebody and someone had asked them what their preferences were. And they were pretty much like, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care. Whoever, they just got to be nice and lovable or whatever. But then as we were asking questions like, well, then, is somebody who's 5'4" okay? And they're like, well, okay, maybe my height, maybe I'll go an inch shorter than me or whatever. Or we're like, okay, so someone who's like really overweight, is that okay with you? And then they're like, well, maybe someone's a little healthier. I don't care if they have a little bit of weight, but maybe just healthier. So everybody has preferences. I don't care what they say. Everybody has preferences.
I will say that when it comes to confidence, guys like guys that are confident.
Like bromances?
Guys, not well, yeah, but romance or just like friends that they hang around. Okay, nobody likes somebody that's lacking confidence. We recognize value in people, but somebody that is always going around and looking for validation from other people, always looking for something from other people so that they can feel the value within themselves, that's draining. Is somebody that is constantly taking energy. What confidence does, it's like the sun, and it shines outwards, and other people can feel warm with it. And so that's why it's attractive, is because people want to be around people who make them feel good. If you're around people and you're constantly trying to win them over and constantly trying to get their affection, it's draining, and people recognize it.
That's right. I agree.
Yeah.
How about
Kevin,
you, Austin?
you know, when he says that he has a hard time with confidence when you get rejected a lot, you know, here's my feeling on that, is that people take rejection as if it's like something that is a reflection on them rather than a reflection on whether or not you're a good match for somebody. So for example, I might reach out to somebody and say, gosh, I think you're really pretty, and you know, I'd like to get to know you, and they're just like, I'm not interested. Okay. I can look at that two ways. I can look at that and say like, all right, well, she doesn't find me attractive, or maybe we're just not a good fit in one way or the other. And if whether it's she doesn't find me attractive, fine, that's one thing. Or maybe she saw something in my profile and she's just like, nah, I'm not interested in that. You know, I've known girls that are super like one way or the other on the political spectrum. And then they're just like, I would never date somebody on the other side, no matter what they look like. You know, sometimes it's not necessarily an indication of you per se, but when you're looking for the right person and you're looking for someone who's going to be a good match, that person's going to find you attractive. That person's going to find you interesting. That person's going to want to talk with you. And so if you just go along and have that idea in your mind of like, all right, if this person is not interested, okay, one way or the other, it's not a good match. That's a whole different ballgame of just like, gosh, why do I suck so bad? Why am I so unattractive to women? Once you start playing that game in your head, then it just keeps going downhill.
Yeah, your self-talk can take you out of the game before anyone else or anything else. You can do it yourself.
Yeah, look, I just to wrap up on this one topic, I would say that it also is the idea. I like how Jennifer just said it. Choose not to be offended. Corey's saying negative self-talk so dangerous. Absolutely. If you are building a house or you get hurt or something like that, you stub your toe, the pain is there. You got rejected. The pain is there. I get rejected. The pain is there. It's what you do with the pain. You can sit there and stew over it and focus on it, or you can wrap it up and move on. And that's the best thing for you to do, is to be able to take that rejection and say, okay, it wasn't good with that person, but that doesn't mean for the other 80,000 people out there, it's not going to be good for them.
Yeah. Remember when we had, who was on here? I don't remember who it was, but she was saying that, you know, if I have to go through 100 wrong people to get to the one that's right, then I'm going to do it. And so she's like, I just keep going. I just keep pushing forward. You know, if I'm on number 59, I might not know it. I might have, you know, several more to go, but I'm going to just keep pushing forward till I find that one. So I think that was a good way to look at it.
Absolutely.
All right. Austin, how about you, bud? Do you want to be like unmuted and do you want to come on video, or do you want to just text or chat your question?
Here we are.
There you are.
Are we here? Yeah. Well, I guess this might go with the confidence thing. I'm not sure. I've dated a gal or two, and I didn't treat them any more than just a human being. Just treat them decent. Apparently, though, I treated them too well, and I don't understand what. You know, there wasn't any of that door opening thing. You know, just human being. Treat them like a human being. And they told me.
There are some people that when they think that they're treating somebody like a human being, it is like this. Celeste, your eyes are so amazing. Your hair is like silk and gold. Your skin is so flawless. You're like taken from the moon and just shining and radiating. If she
Thank you.
doesn't know who I am, and I'm praising her and giving her all of these superficial compliments, whether or I'm giving her flowers or roses or anything like that, and I'm doting on her, but I just don't know her. She knows that I don't know her,
Yeah.
and so all I'm doing is I'm giving her compliments on something that she had nothing to do with.
Right.
It's moving too fast.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I don't know if
I'm
that's your
not-
case, Austin. You're saying that you're treating her like a human being, and I just wanted to make sure that the way that I was doing is not what you're talking about.
No, that
Okay.
isn't what I'm talking about. Maybe if I did that, maybe it'd be another different
No,
situation.
you need- yeah,
So what-
get to know her
what are
before
you
you start
referring
pulling
to?
that out.
Well, I'm just, okay, I paid for supper,
Okay.
Just go and do something she wanted to do. But I'm not, giving her all sorts of compliments, maybe
Okay.
some past experience wisdom if she asks a question on,
So
this is my experience with it or that.
where are you? Where is the disconnect?
In honesty, I'm not really sure there. Like I said, just
Is there a follow-up date?
just doing that friend thing.
Is there a
And
follow-up date?
some of them have been, yes.
Okay. So tell me where your confidence question is coming from, because I'm having a hard time pinning it down.
Well, it's on the girl side. I don't know. They just say, well, they're not used to being treated this way, like good wise. I got flat out asked. Well, I was like, well, am I treating you bad or something? And he says, I'm not treating you any more than just a human being. And some of them, they can't handle it that way or something. Just,
Sure.
minding my own, not doing anything, not hinting anything, just going along.
All right. So
I feel like this might be a situation where if they say something like that, it might be an excuse to kind of say like, I'm not interested and let you down nicely. That's kind of my gut reaction. But again, this is kind of off the limited info that we've got here that you're telling us about. I don't know the full date.
Right. And we also got somebody from the peanut gallery saying that, yes, it is an excuse.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what I would have assumed, that maybe she was feeling like, oh, this guy's just such a nice guy and look how nice he's treating me and I'm just not interested. And so instead of saying I'm not interested, they were just saying I'm not used to being treated so kindly. I'm not saying it's the correct route to take, but I think it was more to maybe possibly just smooth that I'm not interested kind of thing over. Or I don't know, maybe they're just not used to having people do something special for them. If that's the case, then that's really sad. So you probably wouldn't want to be in a relationship like that anyway, because they wouldn't know how to have that connection. So
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there,
No,
but I was just going to say probably the funniest part is if you ask the girl afterwards, she would be like, yeah, I pretty much told him straight out that I'm not interested.
oh my
Like,
God.
no, that's another one of those smoke signals.
All right, Austin, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Austin.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that
Catherine wants to.
Catherine wants to come in.
She doesn't have a hand to raise, so she wants to come in though.
Yeah, Catherine's
here it
at
is.
the hot seat on Sunday, so we got you coming up next.
Everett. Okay, so you took issue when I said that men lie and women change their decision.
Well, it's the fact that like
So I want a better wording. There's a better wording for it,
Okay.
because the original wording that I heard was that men lie and women flip-flop. So like men expect women to flip-flop and change their mind. So men say, no, sex, you don't want to have sex. Sex is totally off the table. Like we won't even talk about it. Or you don't want a relationship, that's totally fine. We can just get to know each other. And then as soon as you're like face to face, then they're like, well, what's your issue with it? And I'm such a great, all of a sudden it's an application. So what's a better wording for it? Because okay, yes, and women lie too, but in my experience, I have guys that are like, yeah, whatever you want, you're in charge, the woman's in charge. And then as soon as it's just more one-on-one, then it's like, then they push it and they're like, well, what's your problem with that? Why don't you want a relationship?
Okay, so the question is how to better word that men aren't lying. Is that what you're saying? Instead of saying men are liars? Because I will say that I wouldn't say, here's my thing. It's not that guys actively say like, okay, even though I'm telling her that we just want to be friends, I'm totally lying to her. Like a guy doesn't think like this is a total flat out lie because I still want to date her. They think like, okay, there's still an opportunity here. So I'll start off as friends, but I'm going to build my way up. Like, I don't think a guy's going like, all right, I'm going to totally pull the wool over her eyes and pretend to be friends. I think a guy just goes in thinking, all right, I have a shot. This is my way in the door. You know,
I think a
Like
guy
a salesman.
thinks once she meets me, she'll realize that she really wants what I originally said I wanted.
Yeah, maybe.
So
I think
what's
a lot
that
of guys
called?
do that.
There's that possibility
Because
that
the woman goes into it that there was an understanding that like she established her boundaries and she really shouldn't have to talk about it again.
But
yeah,
is she really establishing her boundaries, or is she leaving as far as guys go, this goes again back to the original conversation of like, at some point, guys seem to think just like that Dumb and Dumber thing, like, so you're saying there's a chance, right? Like 1 in a million, like any sort of ambiguity, any sort of like crack in the door that they can get their toe in, a guy thinks I've got a shot. So once I like go on this friend outing or something, they're going to come all dressed. They're going to have cologne on and everything else. And you're like, wow, do you do this for all your friends? But in a guy's mind, it's not that he's trying to trick you or fool you. He thinks that there's a chance, and this is his chance.
So I say, I'm not looking for a relationship. I say sex is off the table.
okay.
And then it's just stupid.
So
Like,
so when a girl says that sex is off the table, I mean, I'll be open on this one. I have gone on plenty of dates where they're just like, I don't kiss on the first date. I don't mess around. I don't do this. I'm this goody good. And by the end of the night, we're making out and we're doing a little bit of Levi Levin on the couch.
Levi Levin.
This is the same person who just told me I don't do any of this stuff. Now, I will say this. Now, I've had issues in the past where I am trying to do better and I am trying to be a good little woman boy. And so what I did was I went and I found somebody that was in the Relief Society presidency in my singles ward. That way I knew that, you know, I was safe. Here's somebody that is in the Relief Society presidency. She's not going to have any issues. We're watching a movie, and next thing I know, I mean, she's going down on me, and I'm like, well, what the hell, dude? It doesn't matter who I go out with. It doesn't matter what's going on because they're going to be doing what they're going to be doing. All right, regardless of them saying, I don't have sex on the first date. I don't have sex ever. I don't do this. I don't do that. The people that are talking about it are normally the ones that have the boundary issues with it. I've noticed that the people that don't talk about it are the ones that are like, it doesn't really go that direction.
Well, maybe it's the same thing where they're trying to convince themselves of that. So they're going to say, "Hey, I don't do that," because they're saying, "Okay, I'm going to say this out loud because that's where my boundary is going to be."
Right.
Because they maybe struggle with that. I can totally see people doing that on both sides. I can see that happening.
Sure.
So let me ask you a question, though, Catherine. I'm going to kind of pose your question with a question. You seem pretty passionate about this, so I'm guessing, and you don't have to share, but I'm guessing there's personal experience behind this. Yeah, just a little bit. Okay. Fair enough.
Would you like to hear my latest experience?
Please.
Okay. Well, question.
Okay, hold on. One.
We have you Sunday, so
Just
do we
one.
want to share this for Sunday?
No, I can share it now. I
Okay,
don't think we'll get to it on Sunday. So I have primarily, I've been on apps. I just wanted to understand the singles world and where I fit in. And so I'd done the apps, but I had never done an LDS app. And so I thought, well, why have I never done an LDS app? Is it really that I just want to stay out of that orbit so that people don't connect me and my ex together or whatever? And So I tried the mutual app, and I think there's 7 guys in a 100-mile radius. Just, it is what it is.
You're lucky.
That's
Nick, I got
true.
one.
You're from
7 guys to choose
Delaware?
from.
I can't remember.
There's plenty of women that have like hundreds of guys to choose from. You got like 7 easy.
Yeah.
The Bachelor doesn't even have it that easy.
Anyway, so there was one guy that I ended up kind of chatting with, and so he said, well, you know, it's the holidays and everything's closed. Do you want to just come over to my house? And I was like, that's normally code for sex, which I'm not interested in. What, Nick? Say it. What?
Let it out there, Nick.
No, it's not code for sex.
Is it wrong to put it that way? It's a very point blank way of saying, like, are you inviting me? If you're inviting me to your house, it is not for sex. It is because everything's closed.
Yeah, you
And
can.
he said, no, the woman's in charge, which I kind of know what that means too. But I did go to his house, and I had told him that I was sending his address to my best friend, and I took a picture with him and sent it to my best friend. And he said, oh, are you sending that to her so that I don't rape you? And I said, actually, no, because if you do anything that makes me uncomfortable, she will come over and kick your ass.
Good
And
gracious, you really set that one up for failure, didn't you?
if I'm going to go over to a guy's house, like, he needs to know that he's accountable. Like, somebody knows exactly where I am and who I'm with, because I rarely go to a guy's house.
I
In fact,
don't.
that was the first time I gone to a guy's house on a first date, but like, we were both returned missionaries and yada, yada, yada. Like, and so I just thought maybe it's a little bit different being on the LDS app, but I also covered my bases.
There's
And
nothing wrong with being safe.
so I tell you what, though, like, in the conversation, he's like, this is, at this time in my life, I put my chastity on the shelf. And he's like, I'm comfortable to like do whatever you want, but just in case you need to know, there's a letter on the desk over at the table that I'm disease free. And I was like, you know what? I've got a long drive tomorrow. I'm taking my kids to Branson. Like, I gotta go. And
You're
he's
like,
like, great, okay, you have a good night. But like,
just in case, I always come equipped to, there's a syringe full of penicillin beside the bed. Feel free to take one with you.
Oh my God.
I mean, what am I supposed to make of that? Like, it was,
And you look at it from the guy's perspective. I mean, he's really covering all of his base. He's like, listen, you're in charge. If you want to go down this path, I want you to understand that I am safe. I respect you, and that
Corey.
that we're gonna have a good time. But if you don't want to go down this path, that's okay too. I just want you to know I'm open to both.
When I was completely clear from the get-go. So what is that called? Just hope, false hope?
Sure.
Guys have false hope, and women what?
Oh
When
my
you
goodness.
say you were completely clear, you were pretty clear with him, but the fact that you were still willing to go over there, I think,
Hey.
to him, he's like,
Hey.
I know this is where Celeste gets
What was she
upset,
wearing?
Don't.
in his look, he didn't force anything, to his credit, but in his mind, he's thinking, all right, well, she says no, but she's still willing to come over, so maybe there is a chance. So
That's not fair, Everett. That's not fair.
No.
Okay.
That's not
I'm
fair.
not saying that what he's doing
Like-
is right. I'm not advocating, but what I'm saying is, in his mind, he's thinking that if you're going to come over and you kind of know what I'm about, why would you come over anyway? And so he's leaving that door open, but he still gave you. See, Celeste has like a real problem with this because she thinks like a guy, like no means no, which it does, but a guy should never like go beyond that. And a guy's
I agree with Celeste.
especially a
think-
guy who's in the church, or I'm sorry, that's not in the church, they're going to look for every little angle. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
I think what you're saying is true, Everett. I think that when you're saying the individual knew going in who he was, that maybe going over might send a signal. But the truth is, I mean, still the core is that it was made clear that she wasn't interested, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
not what I would do.
I
So
said I would like to come over and meet you. Like, it was just a meet. It wasn't even a date.
Yeah. So I'm
I'm
gonna
telling
be
you how guys think.
advocate.
Okay, so I mean, now I know the rule. Now I absolutely know the rule. Like, no matter what they say, I cannot go to their house.
That is not true. Okay.
No, yeah, that's not true because
Before-
I've gone
You
on
can
dates
still
to
go
houses.
over there.
You can go over to their house. You can hang out with them. You can watch Netflix and chill without actually touching them. You can do all of that. You can go and cook, just like Sitka. Is that what the name?
Siska.
Siska, yeah.
Siska.
Yeah, there you go, Sitka. You can go over and cook and have a meal with them. You can do all of those things. You just have to understand that most guys understand that what women have is called an anti-slut device. And for them to go out with a guy and to sleep with them, in their brain has been drilled in, if you go out and sleep with somebody the first night that you meet them, you are a slut. And so what women do is they set up an anti-slut process in their brains. I am not going to sleep with you. I am not going to do this. And I'm telling you this. I am not a slut. I am not a hoe. I am not anything that is going to do anything along those lines. And then after 2 or 3 dates in their brain, they're like, I am now comfortable with this person. We are now a thing. It is okay for me to go beyond my normal boundaries because I'm not a slut. I didn't just meet him. We are now something more than what somebody basically just meeting is.
Right.
When I went to dance clubs, there was a process that I learned where if I meet somebody in a dance club and I meet them over here, I will take them with me. I will grab their hand after introducing and I will say, let me show you something. And we will go over together here. And then we will do something and then we'll go dance. And then I'll say, let me show you something else. And we will go over here and we will talk and I will show them something. Then I will bring them over here. And what I've done is I've taken them to 3 little mini dates so that by the time that 4th dance is done, they are ready to make out with me. And I will tell you, it works.
Okay, so anybody going on a date with Nick, you start getting to the 3rd dance, just know where it's going.
I'm not saying that I do that anymore. I'm saying that it did work.
Okay, so and Everett, then what is the best way to summarize that? So men lied, women changed their decision is not necessarily the best way to put it.
I would just say this, you know, look, you can go into it saying, I just wanted this and I wanted to make it very clear. Okay, cool. But you also have to go in with realistic expectations of how guys operate. If a guy is, especially a guy that's not in the church, who thinks it's totally normal, right? If a guy's like wanting you to come over, guys almost always have sex on the brain. That's just kind of how we're hardwired. And to turn it off is difficult, but doable. I mean, it's definitely not an excuse to ever push yourself when they say no. But if you're going to go even like dip your toe in that water and say, okay, no means no, we're not like swimming together. I'm just going to like, you know, I'm just going to go to the edge of the water. In a guy's mind, he's going to think, okay, well, that's cool. Maybe she'll want to go a little further, but I'm going to leave that up to her.
So I'll tell you what I do, because I mostly have dated non-members. And so you really have to watch.
7 members around you.
Say what?
Because you only have 7 members around you.
But plus I wasn't even looking at members when I first started dating. So what I learned was to really watch, like, you know, in the end, you really want someone that respects you and that listens to you. And so I mean, sex always comes up. And so what I tell them is I say, you know what? Sex is my subject. Like, I'm in charge. And when I want to talk about sex, I will start the subject of sex. And then we can talk about it because it's mine. And then if they push it, I just let it fizzle out because they just aren't going to listen.
Men they've already had the conversation in their head probably like 100 times, you know.
But, you know, I really don't want it to always be about the sex. I'd like to and if they can't, then what am I doing there anyway? Like on the date or whatever.
I found that sex or kissing or anything like that normally happens when you or the other person are not talking. or interacting. So if you're not playing a game, you're not eating food or cooking dinner or doing something like that.
They work it into every dinner date. They work it into everything. They work it into hikes. They work it into kayaking.
As guys, we're sort of geared towards, I mean, if you think of it, somebody explained it to me one time this way, and I thought it made sense. If you're like 100 girls and one guy, and you're the only people on the planet, you can have 100 babies at one time. If it's 100 guys and one girl, you can only have one baby to repopulate the earth at one time. Guys are sort of geared towards like, just go out there and do that. That's where the church is like, you got to rein that in. You got to like cut that back. Because if we were just going off pure instinct and like being Neanderthals, it's like, I'm just going to go out and be like Nick and just populate the earth with everybody.
Why you got to throw me under the bus?
But the hard fact is that this is sort of how guys are. It's like hardwired up here, just in our DNA. Have you ever seen that movie by the South Park creators, Team America World Police, with the puppets? It's fantastic. So there's a scene in here. There's a point to this. There's a scene in there where there's like kind of the hero guy, and he's going to go on this dangerous mission. And there's this girl that like really cares about him. She's worried. And she goes, I wish you could promise me that you wouldn't die on this mission. And he's like, I couldn't promise you that. That's impossible. Like, this is a dangerous mission. She goes, if you promise me that you won't die, that you'll never die, I'll have sex with you tonight. And he looks at her with this dead look in his face. He goes, I promise I will never die. Because it's just like, whatever I've got to do to make this happen, I'm going to do it.
It's true. You're right.
That's just the unfortunate reality. So as a girl, just be aware that a guy, you can tell them no. And to be honest with you, the fact that that guy did not push it, that he said, hey, these are the things, if you would like to do that, he's going to be,
I didn't tell the rest of the story.
Oh, okay. Hopefully he didn't push it. But, that's the thing. Guys should know, like, she does not want this, I don't push it. But always know as a girl that unfortunately for a guy, the door is always open, right? I think with the church, it teaches us to kind of say, you can't have that door always open. But to the rest of the world where they don't have like those standards of like, gosh, I might lose a temple recommend or, whatever, to them, they're just going to be like, what's the problem? Yeah, the door's open. I think you're hot and, I'm hardwired to do that. So I will never die. I promise. Great scene. Anyways.
I have to watch that now.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.
Okay, Heidi, what you got?
Sorry. I think that I don't think my mind's keeping up with the flow. I don't even remember when I clicked that.
It's okay.
It's not working. I'll just if I have something to say, I'll just type it. Sorry. Unless I want to start a certain topic, I suppose, but I'm not really the initiator. I'm usually just a responder.
Cool.
Actually, while I'm on here, I was going to just message this to Corey, but I think it was in the whole everyone chat. He was, what was it? Oh, we were just talking about Corey Cotton? I was listening to Everett and I was like, okay. I was really hoping that back behind what you were saying, that you're still saying, yeah, guys can keep themselves under control, right? Because
they do, and they should. Absolutely.
Right.
I think you have a better chance with guys in the church than outside of the church, because I feel like outside of the church, there's not the same need to control like is in the church.
Kind of like that guy from
that still isn't like a carte blanche. There's a lot of dirt bags in the church too. We'll just say that.
Yeah, that's something I actually tell my kids, just because you know them at church does not necessarily mean they're safe. We have family safety rules and stuff like that. Anyway, but
there's plenty of people that I know that are not LDS that hold better standards of LDS, hold better standards than some LDS members that proclaim that they are members.
But probably not as a whole, right? I mean, I think
Yes.
if it's the odds are you're going to get better standards within the church than outside the church, I think.
Do you know guys outside of the church that are like, I would like to date, but I definitely don't want to have sex with them until we get married?
Yes.
I don't know anybody like that.
Okay.
I have a
They're
friend that
evangelical.
I went to school with. Now I will say they aren't part of our church, but they are Christian.
Right.
And that is where, and that general foundation, I believe, is what that came from. Now, of course, I mean, they just made the decision that they were going to wait. And I think it's because they're both Christian.
And there are
And
some,
I never really got into deep
Right.
conversation about that, but
there are some churches that still teach that, and they're usually not the mainstream Christian. I know that they're kind of a little looser on things, but yeah, there are definitely still churches out there that teach that for sure.
right. And I was just thinking that a lot of people talk about how, guys they have this Neanderthal inner being that, they have to keep under control. Now, I'm not a guy, so I don't know how bad it is, but I feel like if I can keep myself morally clean, it's okay for me to expect someone else to. I don't care where they go to church or if they go to church.
No, I totally.
And now morally clean can be ambiguous. That would have to be hashed out between the two people. But like, I don't know. I just don't think it should be that difficult. But maybe I'm idealistic. I don't know.
So there's a lot of talk about this, and even psychologists have come out and talked about the fact that why is it that men and women think about sex in such a different way? And one of the psychologists that I was reading about told me that the male anatomy is on the outside of the body. It's something that they see constantly from day one. It's something that's always there. We're talking about morning wood when you're a kid. You don't understand why it's getting hard. You get to wet dreams and masturbation when you're in your early teens. Your testosterone spikes and you're walking around with the heart on 24/7 and you don't know why. And all you can think about is like how good it feels, and you think about sex. Women, because I'm not a woman,
You should never not know.
I don't know, but according to the psychologist, he's saying that theirs is not on the outside, it's on the inside. And so that's not something that's readily on their mind all the time. When boys had their testosterone starting spiking around third, fourth grade, they were playing King of the Mountain and they were throwing each other down. What were the women doing? Well, they were going around and they were talking with each other and learning how to communicate. Okay, so no, it's not your responsibility to make sure on that date that nothing bad happens.
It's both.
It's both of your responsibilities. But once again, all of our journeys are our own. These are all individual journeys. And so if you're not on a path of sexual purity and chastity, and I am on that path, then when we start making out, your hands are going to go down my pants. And it's up to me to stop that from happening.
I agree with that.
Now, if I'm on a path, that doesn't involve chastity, but you are, and we start making out and my hands go down your pants, it's up to you to stop that.
I would actually go so far as to say,
you just agreed to me on the flip side, and I gave you a 180, and now you're flip flopping.
oh, I'm not trying to flip flop. I was just thinking more about it. No, I'm all about gender equality and not just with opportunity, but with responsibility. I'm just thinking that if either person, I don't care if you're the man or the woman, if both parties know where the other person stands on their principles and their boundaries.
Talk about it beforehand.
I think that
Yeah,
that's
is this in theory what we're assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, some people don't.
Well,
Some
right, but
people
let's.
go on a date and they just see what happens. I'm LDS, you're LDS. I know what your standards are. You know what my standards are. But honestly, you don't know what my standards are because I may not be living the way that I need to be living.
Well, right. So let's say theoretically these people are aware. of the discrepancy.
Sure.
Shouldn't the person that is willing to be more liberal with their activity keep themselves in check out of respect for the other person?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm not really saying the responsibility lies all on one side. I'm just saying that if we know where we're at and we know where someone else is, we can inhibit ourselves.
They should. Does that mean that they will?
Correct, which is that's probably the main reason I wouldn't like go to someone's house on a first date. Like
God gave man enough blood to focus on one head.
I really, really want to think better of you guys than that.
Well, there comes a point where if it gets hot and heavy, that literally, I mean, guys have a line where they either need to get up and remove themselves from the situation or they move forward.
Well, and I don't think it's necessarily, I mean, women are wired differently, but that happens to women too.
Sure. And again,
I mean, that's how accidents happen. And then that's how people have regrets and things get out of control. But I'm just saying, I think that I know a lot of good men, like people that I know personally, that think the catch is you just don't get into the hot and heavy situations. You know, okay, I know I'm human. That's a danger zone. I'm not going to open that door.
I'll just say this. When you get in as a guy, and I'm pretty sure Nick could kind of back me up on this, probably most of the guys, once you get in that situation and things get hot and heavy, the best thing you can do as a guy to like clear your mind and be able to think straight is not to go like, you know, people might say, well, start like in your mind, sing a hymn or something like that. You're not in that spot in that moment, right? A guy
that was what you needed to do before you went and picked her up, right?
The best thing is just to avoid the situation, right? You stay far enough away from the edge. We've all heard President Hinckley's analogy with the trucks, right? You don't drive as close to the edge as you can. But a guy, there's that release that happens. If a guy can do that, it's like everything can change. If you're in that moment and that's heating up, if you can find a way to like release, I kid you not, it's like your whole thought patterns just changed like that. It's almost so. Yeah, an ice pack takes a little while. I mean, look, go in the bathroom, you know, rub one out, whatever you gotta do. But seriously, that release like changes everything. Everything. In that moment, it's almost like you're so caught up and you're so primal that you're like, it's just so difficult to stop. If that can happen though, then whole different ball game. It's like you just change. It's like the Incredible Hulk. You know, I always think it's interesting that superheroes are based off of like either people's emotions or like something basic that they've obviously taken and blown up into sort of this, you know, creature or whatever that does whatever. So you've got the Incredible Hulk, who's just like, you know, it's based off of like somebody who rages, right? When you rage, you can just like, rah, and you're like, some people can like pick up a car or something like that when they're just in that moment because they're like that, the Incredible Hulk. But there comes a moment where like even he has something that just like brings that back down. You know, it just changes everything and brings him back to like a normal playing field. I think we might have just lost Celeste. So
maybe she's doing her check.
Oh, okay. So it's a hard thing. It stinks. But that is the reality of a guy. Like, it's a hard thing. And it sounds crass, but they always say you're thinking with the wrong head. I had a friend, his dad growing up, I always thought he was like, I still even look up to the guy. He's a great guy, but he's like, look, there was a girl that apparently all the guys really like to go and sleep with growing up. And he's like, one head said yes, the other head said no. And it took many beatings until they were in agreement, you know? That's kind of it with a guy. If you can just get to that point, everything changes. Your thoughts, everything. That's why there's a thing that guys will talk about. I don't know. Girls will probably be like, this is gross. And oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But guys all know this. And if you've ever seen There's Something About Mary, they even have a scene in there.
You reminded me of that a little earlier, which I watched that movie a long time ago and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm never watching this again.
There is just such a power in like the hormones and everything that goes into that it's crazy powerful. It's really, really hard to rein in. That's why the best tonic for all of that is just avoid the situation. Then you're not in that.
I agree.
You don't have to like worry about it. But once you get there, just understand that, guys, it's not as easy to just say, well, okay, gosh, I'm trying to like, be good. And she just stuck her hand down my pants. We're a guy. We're like, all right, maybe we'll go a little further. Like, oh, okay, I kind of do like that. You're not thinking clearly. So
have you ever been eating some food, like just like maybe some sweets or chocolates or whatever your secret thing is? Okay, you have a little bit, but then you just want a little bit more, and you want to taste it one more time, and then you want to eat it one more time, and
you were watching me at my desk, weren't you? Today, it's just what I did. Ate too many gum candies.
That's what it is. That's what I would liken it to. Okay, it like pushing your bodies against each other, kissing, nibbling on the neck or the ear, or like your hands start exploring each other's body. Each one of them.
That's dangerous area right there.
It's a nibble. It's a bite. It's you're tasting it again and again, and it gets to the point where I want all of it, and that's all I can think about is this right here. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about my temple recommend. I'm not thinking about what my grandma will think of me. This right here is all I can see.
Yeah.
And so it's not, what's the word? Insulting to men to assume I have to think that they're in that space?
No, I mean.
No, guys, we understand it.
Yeah.
We know, like, I'm in that spot. Like, I can't think clearly right now. Like, I need help, like, turning my brain where it needs to be.
I mean, even having.
Well, I can be that person.
Yeah.
For somebody then.
If you can be that person, what you need to do is get up and walk into the kitchen. Go get a glass of water. Remove yourself from the guy, because if the guy doesn't have the willpower or the thought process that's in his head at that moment, he's not going to do that himself.
Well, and I don't think it would be fair to the man to lay all the responsibility for the feelings of that situation, because to get there.
It depends on what your limits are, what your boundaries are.
Well, no, I just mean like if
I had that Relief Society president, her boundaries were definitely different than I thought they were.
Yeah, that would be a really awkward realization, I would think. But
I mean, yeah,
you're already going to lose the fight like 9 times out of 10. If you put yourself in that position and then the girl doesn't care, then it's hard. It's much harder for a guy to like back down once you get that going. Like I said,
I guess that's where we need to. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're okay. I'm just saying, the best thing is to just avoid the situation.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to say I think that's where we can be respectful of men in being cautious.
Since I had dinner, can I have a mint thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like the art of war, right? You keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. You got to know like what you're working on.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. I don't want to
it's
keep
not
my
like guys are
close.
necessarily enemies, but
right.
You have to know what you're up against. And if you go in there saying like, oh, well, guys should just like be able to turn it all off. I don't care how like close I get. Yes. Okay. I definitely agree.
No.
I definitely
agree. That would be laying all the
Guys should be able to
responsibility on the guy.
What?
I said that would be laying all the responsibility on the guy, which I don't agree with either.
No, the best is just to know going in, like, I got to avoid the situation, period. And I'm not excusing guys in any sense or anything to say like what they do is appropriate when a girl says no. That is not the case.
So what I'll say about like,
because I know Celeste will kill me otherwise.
I'll say this about my current situation. There was a girl that I recently went on a date with. I knew in my head that if I wanted it to go any direction, in that direction, she'd be all for it. I didn't want to go that direction because I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be a good boy. And so when we were watching movies, when we were playing games, when we were doing stuff, I always made sure that I wasn't sending any signals. I wasn't trying to sit next to her and have my knee rub against her knee. I wasn't like having my arm or leaning next to her while we were watching something. There are certain things that we do to avoid those situations. And as long as you're in the headspace of doing that on either side, because I know had I given the signal, she would be all for it. Anyways, we need to
Well,
take
good
a.
for you. Yeah. Sorry, I've monopolized it long enough. Let's
No,
go ahead.
you're fine. Let us
Take
know if
care
you
of
have
his
another
neck.
comment. Tara, I see that you are raising your hand. You want to come on video? Do you want to just say it out loud?
There she is.
There you are. And
There. Are we good?
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay. I'm just actually, I'm so floored by all of this. I am so out of the loop, you guys. I mean, I watch Netflix and chill all the time. And I think I've probably invited a million people to do that. So
Well, there's a lot of different ones out there now. I mean, there's Netflix and chill, Hulu and hang.
Hey,
Disney Plus the
you
D.
just got to check out the Urban Dictionary.
Amazon Prime and Grind.
Memorize all the new terms and how they're used, and you'll be up to par on all that.
crap. Yeah, I don't.
It would be funny if you invited your whole ward over to Netflix and chill. So you'd probably be like, what? Anybody who wants to, we're all Netflix and chill tonight.
What's even worse is I needed help fixing my dishwasher, and there was a guy that knows how, and I was like, well, come on, we'll just make it a little play date. And now I just saw that you can't say that either. Like, I don't know. I'm out. Like, I don't know.
And so the next Boise Bash is gonna have a Netflix and chill, is what I'm hearing.
You what?
The next Boise Bash is gonna have a Netflix and chill night.
Oh, we have a pillow room at the Boise Bash where it's just full of pillows and we cuddle down, and I didn't
AKA the Mormon orgy.
Nick's like, how do I sign up? Where do I go?
I don't know, you guys. So I can't remember what I was gonna say though. There was some point I was gonna make and I forgot. So
something about the guys, and
I don't remember. I've been single a really long time. I just started dating last year. So yeah, I just feel like I'm completely out of the loop.
You've been a single adult for a long time, but you just started dating last year?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've been single for 12 years.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep. Just started dating last year.
Well, just keep watching the podcast. We learn fabulous things on here. People come up with lots of stuff to teach you. So
I've gotten quite the education the last few weeks, that's for sure.
Yep.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah. I can't remember what my question was, but if I remember, I'll raise my hand again.
All right,
absolutely.
Kevin.
Thank you.
so Heidi, yes, Netflix and chill seriously is a euphemism for sex.
Yep.
So yeah, that's like a real thing.
Yep.
Okay,
right, Kevin.
Wow, we were like coming up to the 2-hour mark. When we had the cancellation tonight, I was talking to Everett about what we were going to do tonight, and we talked about doing this, and we both believed that it would probably only go for about an hour. We didn't think that we'd have so much engagement. So this has really been awesome.
All we have to really do, I mean, we should know this every time, is just start talking about sex, and then the conversation will flow every single time.
Right?
Yeah. Kevin, do you have a question? Amber has one as well.
When y'all were talking to what's her name a few minutes ago, you were talking about how guys think. It made me think of Bill Burr.
Oh, I love Bill Burr.
There's you probably know the direction I'm going with it, where he's talking about women just don't understand what it's like to be a guy. We have this thing that every man is thinking, I want to be with 85% of the women in this room. And it's like he's a little dreamer. He thinks, I can do it. backup plan. I don't need one. Just do it. Do it. Do it. And he's like that third base coach. Just wave him on in, wave me in the end. You can go, you can go. Slide, slide, slide. He's coming. Slide, slide. When you get in trouble, he just limp over there. I'm in trouble.
I don't know what you're talking about. No.
I'm in trouble. So that's my little joke for the night. It's something that's funny that's relatable to all guys. Is that we like women? You don't want to read a book that says what's expected in the third trimester. You will feel the pain down here. So you just don't understand what it's like to be a guy. We don't know what it's like to be a girl. We just got to communicate one with another what we want, where we're going, what not to do.
Yep.
All the dating time I've had, one thing I've never done is I had a girlfriend once where we never went to each other's bedroom. We always stayed in the public rooms. Now we got close a couple times and it was hard to back off. But once it got to that point, we kind of just both cut it off. But we never went somewhere where we were alone to put ourselves in that situation.
Oh man.
So
I think that's a smart thing to do. Just avoid.
That's the hardest thing to do. But we were both knowing what we wanted to do and where we wanted to be at. But if one was the other, would have been a whole lot harder.
No, I get that. Absolutely.
So I'm going to cut out because it's past my bedtime and I got to get up for work in the morning.
Well,
Thanks for joining us tonight, Kevin.
All right. See y'all.
Amber.
Right, Amber. Do you have a question, Amber?
Sorry, if it's okay if I stay not on video. It's past my bedtime and I'm probably gonna
Get it.
I'm really in bed right now actually, but anyway.
You're fine. You're
Start.
fine.
But thanks for these podcasts. First, I've tuned into a few of them and they're quite informative and you guys are all great hosts and I appreciate that. One comment that I had, and I think it's kind of been, I've sort of talked about, but I've neof been married and I've never thought that being single is a bad thing until I joined the singles groups, some of these Facebook groups, and it's been about a couple of years. And granted, not everyone's that way. But I've just wondered, why such a, again, not everyone, but why is there a lot of this negative tone? And then B, how can that be fixed if it can?
A negative tone about being single?
Yeah. Like, oh, the single sucks, this kind of going on a tangent, life is horrible, I'm single. And I'm like, I hadn't, and in fact, I hadn't really felt that way. And then all of a sudden, after being reading all these posts, one day I was like, oh, being single, my life sucks, I'm single. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never felt that way before in my life. And I caught myself and I'm like, oh crap. And how can that be remedied? Or A, why does that exist? And B, can that be remedied somehow? Or is that just an individual issue?
I personally think it's just someone's feelings. Some people don't like to be single. They like to be with someone. They like to feel like they're in a partnership and long for a marriage, right? I don't think that when you read that you should take offense to it or anything like that, because you're happy being single and that's what works for you. But other people who are single might not want to be single. And so they're just expressing themselves as, gosh, I hate being single. I wish I was with somebody. I'm trying to find Mr. or Mrs. Right, and I just can't find him. And it can become frustrating, I'm sure. So I don't think that they're saying that it's, that they're upset with people who like being single. I just think they're saying they just don't like being single.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I agree with that. I definitely would like to be with someone. And I've had my, would I rather be with someone single? Yeah. And I think perhaps it's just the overall, maybe finding joy in life and maybe I'm reading into things, I don't know, where maybe it's projected. And again, I could be reading into it where, my whole life sucks because I'm single. And, everything sucks because I'm single. And I've always thought, you bloom where you're planted and you find joy in, whatever's going on in your life. Granted, not every day is going to be that way, but you just try and find joy. And I guess I'm not, how can, and I feel bad when I read that, and yeah, maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but I just want to, reach out and, hug someone and be like, life is, it's pretty good, and, count your blessings, but I don't want to sound like an ass or jerk or something.
I'll say this to that as well. I believe that there's a lot of people who are kind of under the misnomer that their life will be complete once they find that other person, as if they can't have a complete and fulfilling life without somebody in there. And I think that's kind of really cutting themselves short. I really believe like people are just so, and I get it. There's times that you're lonely or whatever, and you're Netflix and chilling alone or whatever, you want to have somebody there. There are those urges. It's natural, especially for me, like, and I've seen people say going to church functions with my kids and being alone and everybody's there with their family. I'm like, hey guys, I'm the third wheel, just happy to be here for the whatever, but I still go and I still have a good time. And I don't allow myself to get into the mindset of like, gosh, once I find somebody and I get married, then I'll be complete. I feel like I'm complete now. And I feel like I need to be happy now. And then when I find somebody that I decide that we're moving forward together forever or whatever, we get married, then hopefully they're complete too. And we add that together. And I've used this analogy before. It's totally cheesy, but I've heard it a million times. And I think it is applicable that some people look at a relationship as if like, you're like a cake recipe. You're the dry ingredients, they're the wet ingredients. You come together, you mix it all up and you make a cake. Instead, it really should be you're the cake, they're the frosting. Individually, you're good, but together you're even better. So I feel like there's a lot of people who are simply waiting for life to happen on the groups, and they're not happy. They're not living to their fullest potential, whatever that might be, wherever they are at in their moment of life. So I really think that it's a hard thing to overcome. But I feel sad for people that go through that. I really want people to be happy where they are instead of just kind of waiting in their misery for somebody else to come along and quote unquote make them happy, because that's never going to happen. Nobody's going to come along and make you anything.
Yeah. I actually did a post on one of the pages a while back asking that, like about single, do you need someone to be happy, or can you be happy being single? And it was interesting. There was quite a mixed bag of what people come up with. And yeah, there was a lot of people out there that were like, I cannot be happy unless I have a significant other in my life, and I'm married and I'm sealed. Um, and it was interesting, but there was a lot of people that were like, I can be happy without someone too. But a lot of them pointed out that you can probably be happy, but joy that comes with an eternal marriage might be something that would be lacking in a single situation. But it was an interesting discussion. So I don't remember which page I posted that on, but you could look that one up. It was a pretty interesting one.
My 2 cents on that would be your question was the people not having a significant other and having that be a found on thing in the church, being single. So can we change that perspective? It's such a ingrained and rooted teaching that we have that you need to find your eternal companion. I mean, from the time that we start dating, and you date the people that you want to get married to, and then you only go on group dates, and then you get to know people. But your whole goal of having friends and meeting people is to find that person. I mean, that should be everybody's goal. That is what the church teaches on that. And that's what I had a conversation with a friend of mine today, and she's not a member, and she's like, that's the whole goal of us meeting and being friends, is that we find that person that we want to be with. So I don't think it's just a church thing. I think it's a society thing. People feel like you need to have a partner.
Yeah.
So
We
thank
gotta
you.
get hands
Thank you.
up.
Yep. I think Siska was first.
Yes. Yes. Okay. You want me to start my video?
It's an option. We do it to everybody.
You don't have to.
Okay.
I want you to.
All right.
You don't have
So I kind of have a beef with that a little bit.
I have a
So,
pork with it.
huh? I'm sorry.
I have a pork with it.
Yeah. Beef.
That
pork.
was like, that wasn't even a dad joke. That was beyond.
Let's see that dad bod, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been single since 2010. And sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I had been working a lot on various different things, and I have been in school since 2017. And it feels like for me, like right now is my time and season for finishing off what I'm doing here in school. I'm doing math education. And it actually had been good for me to be single for a while, just for a little while here. Because, like, for instance, this last semester was, to tell you it was crazy is an understatement. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So I was doing this internship teaching math to 7th graders. And with everything that had been happening with COVID and teachers quitting in droves or retiring really early, there's a huge shortage on teachers. And so this last semester, I kid you not, for every class that I had, there was around 70 students.
Okay.
70. Okay. And so that's why I wasn't on Facebook very much this last semester, is because I was extremely busy. And I have had guys say, well, why don't you just move over here? And I would explain to them that I'm going to be graduating in May. I want to finish this off first. And then they would just sign me off, like I don't matter anymore. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to stay single until I get this done. And you know, I don't think that we are not created to be alone. I don't think that we're created to be alone. And being alone is not, how would you say it? Like,
I know
it's
that we're not
Right.
created to be alone, but I think that there's different stuff, along the way you can get into a marriage. Like even after this life, there's the millennium where marriages can come into play. So I think
Yeah.
what was trying to be said is that it's okay to be happy and single. If you aren't finding the person you're supposed to be with, then that's a good, that might be good for you and you can be happy and maybe your eternal companion will come down the road a piece. Whereas others might
Right.
want it more soon, sooner than that. But yeah,
Well,
there's
and
different
you know,
areas.
it's like, yeah, and you know, it's like my ex. Once our divorce was final, he married right away, and so it's pretty miserable. The kids don't even like their stepmother, but that's a whole nother story. But and so it's like they're asking me, why am I not with anybody? And it's like, well, there's some things that I want to work on first,
You just
like
say, mama
education.
has standards.
Yeah, I have standards. And so, I mean, I know it's been taking me a long time. I'm hearing impaired, and so I'm just trying to overcome that and overcoming the lack of education and all these things so that I could set myself up for a better, for a healthier relationship. So, I mean, I just think that sometimes when you're, and I'll admit that, you know, it's not always great. I have times where I would feel like, gosh, I really wish that I had a husband that I can talk to and have a relationship with, and to love somebody and be loved in return, that kind of thing. But then I realized that, you know, sometimes there's some things that you just need to do, and there's like a time and a season for everything. And, you know, there'll be that time when I'm ready to go ahead and get serious with dating.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just looking this up. I don't know if anybody's ever heard the story of Elder Renland and his mission president, but I think of this one quite a bit. So Elder Renland served a mission. He was really close with his mission president and his mission president's wife, of course. And he said that years later, he had kind of reconnected them after he became an apostle and wanted to kind of touch base and say hi. And he shares the story about how after his mission president had come home, and obviously this was years ago because Elder Renland's kind of old, he, as he puts it, due to some health issues, his mission president kind of like had some lapses in his judgment, and I don't know what all was going on. Maybe he had some mental health, but he ended up having an affair, leaving his wife and running off with another lady. And his wife, devastated, as he puts it, decided not to remarry, but focus on raising her kids and eventually grandkids, served 4 additional missions, and just sort of, you know, decided that she was going to be happy where she was in that moment. Now, it's not to say that she wanted to stay single, but in that moment, she decided, I'm just going to focus on these things that I can, and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to do what I can. As he puts it, 29 years later, this lady that his mission president had run off with ends up leaving him, and they ended up getting divorced. And in an act of, as Elder Renland puts it, an incomprehensible act of forgiveness, his original wife forgave him, took him back, and they were like in their mid 80s or something at this point. And they ended up getting married again and resealed, and had maybe a year or 2 before he ended up finally passing away. And so all of this time, had she sat around going, woe is me, my life is terrible, I don't have anybody, gosh, I wish I did, life is just no fun being single, then she may have just missed out on having blessings of being able to go out on additional missions, you know, finding happiness with raising her kids who still needed to be there. It's not necessarily that being single is our ultimate destination, but it's the reality of where we are now. And being happy in that moment is all we can do to fulfill and be the best that we can at this moment. So anyways, I just wanted to share that.
That was awesome. I don't know if I would take somebody back after so long, but then again, I'm not 80 and I haven't learned forgiveness like that. Heidi, you stepped away for a second. Are you back? Let's do a mute the video. Okay, I don't think Heidi's back yet. Good gracious, people! This has been a really good question and answer series. A lot more involved than I anticipated it would be.
Does anybody have any personal questions about anything? Any of us?
Like
ask Nick
tackle
anything
this
you want to ask him.
issue quite a bit.
Nick's got quite a colorful background. He'd have some fun stories.
Maybe we should ask questions about Nick's uncles. Those are all. For anyone who doesn't know, Nick always kind of has somehow an uncle that's like, everybody's got a member of their family like that, right? Like, what was it you were saying one time? Like, somebody was like a murderer or something. You're like, doesn't everybody have one of those in their family? And like, no, literally we don't. Oh no, wait, wasn't it? They like had, I don't know, something.
I think you're getting
Nick
me
just
and
couldn't
Whitney
be in the room
confused. I
alone.
don't talk about murder as much as she does.
Well, Whitney's desire is to like be murdered and tased or something like that. But
I don't know what that's all
Well,
about.
there you go, Nick. There's a question for you, right for you.
Next.
Let's say like almost every time.
I think if you added a not to that sentence,
Yeah,
then
I was gonna
that might
say,
be more
like,
accurate.
I had a pretty strong crush on Corey after we got done interviewing him. He was pretty awesome. Have I ever crushed on anyone after interviewing them? Yes, I have. Corey.
Yes, he has.
Corey's flattered.
Here's the thing about me. I'm a sapiosexual, meaning that I find intelligence very sexy. So if you know how to take care of yourself, you've got confidence, you are able to teach me something and speak articulately about something, I get attracted to that. That's like one of those, like, all your other faults go away and I'm just all like, oh. So yes, I have. I've also reined it in afterwards on a couple of them. So there's that. Heidi, you're back. I know that you had something to say. You wanted to step away, and they've been harassing me. So you go ahead and talk.
Sorry. I did not even know when you turned that on, because I was at a point where I'm like, yeah, my kids are older, but they have got to go to bed. So I just need to take a few minutes so we can have prayer, because if we don't do it, then tomorrow it's easier to not do it again. So
Get it.
So I have no idea where you guys are now. I'm probably going to totally put a wrench in your flow.
No, we were talking about how Nick likes to crush on everybody he interviews. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
you fall fast and hard, huh, Nick?
I wear my heart on my sleeve.
I just have to say that my youngest was giving me a hug good night, and I had, put the screen back up so he could see your picture, Nick, and he said, he looks kind of like that guy in Saturday's Warrior that goes on a mission. The blonde one.
It's
and I was like,
I've seen that movie.
This is the remake, not the 80s one.
Oh, well, I haven't seen it
The
then.
remake is actually really pretty good. I don't usually like remakes, but it was cute. I really liked it. And it made me cry, of course, because that's what I do. But anyway, back when you guys were on the subject of like the being alone and lonely, and I got to say that those are two different things. I don't know if you guys covered that while I was gone, but I think that I don't think I was ever someone that like needed to have a man to feel complete, but like all the time, because there's some people like they're in a relationship and if they get out, they go right back into another one because being alone is a stigma, or it's something that they can't handle. But I did find that I had to go through a process of learning that that it was okay. I mean, not that we didn't go through trauma and end up with a broken family, and that's horrible. That's not a good thing, but that it didn't mean that I was valued any less. And anyone out there that's had a hard time in their ward, I just want to say, I wish that you've gone through a divorce, that you could have gone through it in my ward, because I never felt like I was treated any differently at all. Maybe it's easier on the woman's side sometimes. I've heard a lot of feedback from men that that's not the case for them, and that could be different, but I learned that God loves me anyway. And sometimes it makes me sad to think that maybe some things I had to learn that in a way that was painful enough that my kids end up getting dragged through that learning process with me. But I learned a lot about being at least more okay being alone. I think I've grown enough that I'd like to have a companion now, which I don't remember who it was, but someone mentioned specifically that term, and I like that. And I think I put in there that I like the term help me too. I like that it's two people working together and it's not, I like your cake and frosting analogy too, Everett. I think I might have to save that one to use. It was good.
Oh.
I just wanted to put my 2 cents in that I think that it's important to be okay with who we are, even if we're not where we, want to be, because we aren't ever really where we want to be. We always want to be better. And that doesn't mean that we're not worthy right now. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little wordy, but there you go.
No, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it can be very difficult in the wards for sure. I've never really felt, like my ward was really very helpful at all. To be honest with you, the weird thing is so in my ward now, my ex was friends with a lot of people, and I found out. So one day she ends up blocking me on Facebook, and then I'm kind of like, okay, this is weird. Like maybe she needs some time away or something. Like she was kind of acting really strange, and I didn't know what was going on. And she starts posting pictures of her and another guy, like on a trip to the beach and like kissing and all these other things. And so people from my ward start like hitting me up like, hey man, are you guys still married? Like, yeah, why? Like, well, did you know? And it was weird. It was really awkward because everybody in my ward seemed to find out before I did that, she was off with another dude. And I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. But it was really hard to be there at the ward because you feel like everybody's looking at you. And then like our bishop, for example, did not care at all, was just like, nah, whatever. And the only thing he said to me was, hey, let me know when you guys are divorced so I can make sure that I get her name off the record. And I kind of wanted to be like, dude, I just really don't like you very much. I have to sustain you, but I really kind of don't like you. So it was difficult, but at the same time, I go to church because it's the right thing to do, and I'm there to like worship Christ and draw closer to Christ. So I'm not going to ever be in a situation where I'm going to let the ward dictate how that goes. Besides the fact that I have 2 little girls that need to look at me and say, if he stops going, there's a great chance as I get older that I'm not going to go too. So they need to have my example, and I need to just stay that course, if for no other reason than for them. So wards can be difficult for sure. For sure. Nobody in my ward even knows exactly during COVID and the whole thing, when everybody's like, oh my gosh, I miss interacting with the ward. I'm like, dude, this is fantastic for me. Like, I don't even care. I'm good. I'm happy. And the interesting thing is like, nobody really reaches out and they're like, hey, is there anything you need? Are you okay? My ward is just very, I don't know if it's cliquish or they're very family oriented, but you never get invited to anything. You never do any of that. So I kind of almost have to go out and be like, hey man, let's go hang out and do something together. So I have to kind of be assertive or else it'll never happen. So that's kind of been my experience with the ward, but I just don't let it stop me. I can't. I have to keep going, and I do it not for my ward, but for me and for the Lord and for my girls. Other than that, everyone else can just kiss it. That's how I feel. So anyways, yeah, that's my rant.
I think I just saw Sidka say that she's deaf.
Yep, she says she's deaf. She has kids on the spectrum. I have 2
Oh, hey,
as well.
Siska, do you do sign language?
Yeah, I do sign language.
Oh, you and Nick should sign it up sometime. I've learned a little bit driving down the road, you know. Usually when I cut somebody off, they teach me a little sign language.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a funny story because I had spinal meningitis when I was 2 months old. I spent months in the hospital, according to my sisters, and nobody knew that I was hearing impaired. And so when I went to kindergarten, the teachers thought that I was just a bad kid. And so I was branded as a brat until I went to 2nd grade. I didn't know how to read or to write or anything until my 2nd grade teacher. She's like, I don't think this kid hears very well because I could talk. You could hear me talk. And so the 2nd grade teacher, she had me sent to the audiologist, and the audiologist said, well, yeah, she's completely deaf in the left ear. And then I have moderate to severe hearing loss in my right ear. I barely make enough just for what they call speech banana, which is that you hear just enough to be able to talk.
So you're not really deaf when you say you're deaf. That's really just
it is classified as deaf because I have hearing loss in both ears. Yeah. If you were on my left side, I would not hear anything at all. And if you had a very low bass voice and you were talking on my right side, I would not hear you at all again, because I don't hear very low bass voices, which is usually from men.
No, I get that.
Yeah, you don't want to hear Nicholas anyway. You're good.
Actually, I can hear him. It's like there's this one guy at church.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
All right, so you're just playing a wager. Well, it's like there's this one guy at church. He speaks very low, and it looks like he's moving his lips, and he's saying something, and I know he's so sweet. He's such a kind guy, but it's like, I'm so sorry, I can't understand a word you're saying. So yeah, but when my 2nd grade teacher found out that I was hearing impaired, I got sent to the hearing impaired division in Peoria, Illinois, which is completely another story. But long story short, I started soaking everything up like a sponge. And by the time I was in high school, I was reading and comprehending things at a college level.
That's awesome.
Awesome. That is great. I love to hear stories where you can overcome things like that and have a success at the end.
Absolutely. We actually have another comment coming from Coy tonight. Coy, you really need to learn to raise your hand, buddy.
I know. It's kind of rude to just cut in like that.
Like preferential treatment. Ridiculous.
I know. I'm just lazy. I liked Everett's story about being in the ward. It is awkward to be single, and it's even more awkward to be a man single in the ward because there's a lot of judging. Like, oh, he must have been the one who cheated.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's you get that look, and I've also gotten the you can't play with Corey from the wives. Like the guys will start be like, dude, let's go mountain biking, let's hang out, and then it's like, boom.
Who says you can't play with Corey?
A lot of the married guys can't play with me because it's like I think these women are worried they're gonna be like, man, Corey's got this awesome single life, and then they're gonna lose their man.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing because like they're super nice.
That they can't vicariously live their lives through you.
I guess, I'm telling them about all these amazing dates and these amazing women. Like that's what they think I'm going to be talking about. So I don't know. It's weird.
At least you're not looked at like the pity case, right? Like I'm looked at like, oh, poor Celeste, her and her kids all alone. Like I become like the pity party. That's not fun either.
No, it's not. It's weird because
I'm fine. I'm doing good, actually.
Yeah.
I'm actually happy.
Well, like I got invited over. Like I was hanging out with this. Like I was hanging out in the ward, and this family invited me over, and we're talking. And then the guy's like, hey, let's hang out sometime. And then they like never called. And then I go to church, I say hi to them. And then the wife's kind of give me the cold shoulder. And the guy's kind of like, oh, good to see you there, Brother Hubbard. And I'm like, what? I was Corey before and now I'm Brother Hubbard. So it was just kind of, I just had a sense that maybe they were like, you know, maybe we shouldn't hang out with Corey because we're having trouble in our marriage. And I don't need my husband going out there seeing that there's a better life out there than this crazy person they're married to. I just, my assumptions.
You sound like old Brother Hubbard.
Exactly.
Went to the cupboard.
Yeah. And Skip, I do have kids. I have 2 sons. So, but they're in their 20s.
Which means that Corey is basically out there living the life, and all these married men are just looking and pawning over him.
Hey, I'm almost living the life. My ex told me on Christmas, she texted me and sent a picture of her engagement ring. So I'm almost living the dream.
Oh, once that alimony stops, you're gonna be like, oh,
like a big giant raise.
I saw this video on YouTube of there's this thing called manimony. Have you heard about this?
No.
Where women who are like they're the breadwinners.
Oh, yes.
Slapped with alimony. And so they were interviewing a bunch of them. They were all upset. Like, why do I have to pay? This sucks. And the guys interviewing or kind of like reviewing it were kind of laughing, being like, welcome to our world. And and you know, in a way I kind of get it. Like that guy could get out there and earn some money, you know, that's kind of how this is supposed to go. But
or was it he's getting his dividends? That's my thought.
Or what?
I mean, is he getting his dividends from the time he invested in the home while she worked, right?
Oh, maybe. I mean, I dated a woman that had to pay spousal support to her ex-husband. So that was
manimony.
It was weird. Manimony. Yes.
Yeah. Apparently that's a term. I learned that earlier. So yeah, she probably wasn't real happy about it, was she?
No, I mean, she was just like, well, he was a crazy guy. So she felt sorry for him, but you know, she only had to pay for a little while, but she just thought it was weird. She's like, why am I paying? So that was awkward. So
yeah. Well, I think we should wrap it up and kind of open it up for the after party. What do you guys think?
That sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, I think we had some good discussion tonight. I appreciate the audience participation. I like this format. I think we're going to start probably doing, when we have a particular guest on, having a section where we have the audience ask questions to that guest. So we are trying to figure out ways to incorporate more audience participation while at the same time still maintaining the flow with the main guest. Tonight we didn't have a main guest because of, you know, situations that arose. But
Nick is always the main guest. Just ask him.
Yeah, Nick's our main guest.
He's our star.
Yeah.
That's not true. We're all in this together, guys.
Oh, we're a team.
Thank you for everybody who participated tonight. And we're going to go ahead and open it up for our after party show.